A deserted house, a shallow trench line, a forest edge, and a small tunnel cut into open ground were once seen as places that could buy a few more minutes to stay alive. But in recent footage, those same hiding spots became the places where Russian soldiers were fixed in place, tracked, and finished by FPV drones within seconds. Reconnaissance UAVs do not just spot a target once and move on, because they keep the track alive, so an FPV can strike at the exact moment movement slows and alertness drops. At the same time, logistics convoys and troop carriers on supply routes are being thrown off rhythm, because one disabled vehicle blocking the road can force the entire column behind it to bunch up. Even the T-80 tank is no longer a reliable shield when an FPV hits the engine compartment to kill mobility, and a second drone arrives right after to finish the vehicle completely. The question now is what Russia will do to break this loop, and in the opening phase of this operation, where did the reconnaissance drones unlock the first target? Stay with Military Force to find out. This operation opens with a simple rule. Because the target is not struck first, it is held by a steady eye in the sky. Reconnaissance drones sweep a defensive strip and tag the places soldiers still trust, including a ruined house, a trench line, a forest edge, and a small field tunnel. That first scan looks calm, yet it sets the pace, because cover becomes coordinates and movement becomes a trackable routine. Surveillance stays close enough to catch the moment a man steps out of shade or pauses at a broken doorway. An FPV is then sent by priority, and the top priority is the place that should feel safest, which is a building with walls and corners. The drone commits fast, slips inside, and steals the seconds needed to aim, shout, and scatter. In a tight room, there is no space to spread out, and a rifle pointed one way cannot cover a threat arriving from another.
Keep their heads down!
The building stops acting like shelter and starts acting like a trap, because the entry point becomes the closing point. This opening phase is not about a huge blast, because it is about timing a strike for the instant the defenders believe they have a pause. Along the forest edge, the same method continues, because trees block human sight, but they cannot erase motion from a patient camera. A lone soldier leans on the canopy for cover, yet the drone view keeps him framed and guides the FPV toward a side he cannot watch. In that moment, the tree line stops being protection and becomes a boundary that limits escape choices. The field tunnel raises the pressure further, because the entrance itself becomes the point of control. A scout drone spots signs of life, and the FPV moves close to the mouth, forcing a choice between staying trapped or breaking into open ground. If the target runs through the passage, the pilot can shift position to threaten the far exit and turn the tunnel into a funnel. The key effect is tactical and psychological, because the defender is pushed into movement that is predictable from above. This is how the opening sequence works, because surveillance holds the target long enough for the strike drone to arrive when rhythm breaks. When these hiding points have been marked and tested, the next step is to hammer the defensive positions themselves, until trench lines start to empty under pressure. This phase breaks a trench line by making it impossible to stay put, because a position only works when it keeps people hidden, calm, and coordinated. The footage is built around a tight rhythm, where FPV and kamikaze drones arrive in waves, so defenders feel pressure that never truly stops. Instead of one blast and a pause, the trench takes repeated hits, and that removes the time needed to reset, treat wounded men, and pass simple orders along the line. In several clips, the follow-up comes so fast that a soldier has not even finished lifting his head before the next drone closes in. Under that tempo, radios go quiet or turn into shouting, and small mistakes spread, because nobody is sure which segment is still safe. When that clock is stolen, even a strong line starts to act like loose pockets, and every pocket becomes easier to isolate and crush. The turning point is often a secondary explosion, because ammunition stored for the next fight becomes fuel for the attacker's timing. A strike that catches crates or loose rounds fills the trench with smoke, dust, and fragments, and visibility drops so fast that direction becomes guesswork. Heat and pressure also change behavior, since men stop thinking about sectors and start thinking about air and exits. At that moment, survival turns into a forced choice, because staying can mean choking in a burning corridor, while leaving means stepping into open ground. This is how a defended slot turns into a trap, because the blast does not only destroy material, it also pushes bodies toward the same narrow escape points. And the line unravels. Those exits are rarely free, because reconnaissance UAVs keep watching the edges where a man is most likely to appear. When a soldier crawls out to reach a wall, a ditch, or a tree line, he is moving along a route that has already been seen from above. The strike pattern then shifts from area pressure to a personal hunt, as an FPV can be guided onto one figure at the exact second he clears the lip of the trench. Some attacks are doubled, with a second drone arriving moments after the first, which reduces the chance that a wounded target can crawl back into cover. In practice, the trench is not just a target. It becomes a system that forces predictable movement and punishes it immediately. Some dugouts never reach the escape phase, because deeper shelters can become sealed rooms under sustained drone pressure. When defenders refuse to leave, Ukrainian teams may use explosives to clear the hiding place, which removes the shelter rather than trading shots at the door. That choice also protects the next advance, since a pocket left behind can shoot into the rear once infantry moves forward. Clearing a dugout is slow and dirty work, yet it prevents a small group from surviving to retake the position after the drones move on. So the defense does not collapse through a classic breakthrough. It collapses because drones make staying impossible, and the moment soldiers run, the next phase begins with a chase from the sky. FPV and kamikaze drones have proven to be highly effective in modern warfare, particularly in the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict. These unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, allow Ukrainian forces to deliver precise, real-time strikes on key enemy positions, such as trenches, bunkers, and ammunition depots. Their ability to bypass traditional defenses and hit specific targets with high accuracy has provided Ukraine with a significant tactical advantage, enabling them to challenge a larger and better-equipped adversary. These drones offer a level of precision that traditional weapon systems often lack. In Ukraine's case, they have been employed to disrupt Russian forces entrenched in defensive positions, forcing them out of hiding. Unlike conventional airstrikes or artillery, which can result in broad destruction, UAVs can focus on specific targets, causing significant damage to ammunition depots and key military infrastructure. This capability has allowed Ukraine to weaken Russian defenses while minimizing collateral damage, making drones an invaluable asset on the battlefield. When drones strike Russian ammunition depots, the resulting explosions create large blasts, sending debris and smoke into the air, resulting in confusion on the battlefield. The shockwaves from these explosions can destroy critical supplies, disrupting Russian operations and making it nearly impossible for their forces to maintain their defensive posture. Soldiers who were once sheltered in trenches or bunkers are now exposed and vulnerable to further strikes. The aftermath of these explosions forces Russian troops to flee their positions. The blast not only destroys essential supplies, but also forces soldiers to abandon their defenses, leaving them open to follow-up strikes. The chaos and confusion caused by repeated drone strikes make it difficult for Russian forces to regroup or mount a counteroffensive as they lose their defensive advantage. This level of disruption is critical in weakening their operational capacity, further compounding the difficulties of maintaining a coherent defense against Ukraine's drone assaults. As Russian soldiers attempt to flee the chaos created by drone strikes, they become easy targets. These unmanned aerial systems are capable of tracking moving targets, making it difficult for retreating soldiers to escape undetected. Even when soldiers try to reposition themselves or find cover, the relentless surveillance from above ensures they remain in the drone's sights, exposing them to continuous attacks. The ability of drones to follow and strike fleeing soldiers highlights the tactical advantage of these systems. Traditional artillery and airstrikes often lack the ability to engage fast-moving targets, but drones, with their maneuverability, keep soldiers in constant danger. This ongoing pressure forces Russian troops into a state of vulnerability, undermining their morale and weakening their ability to defend or regroup effectively. The persistence of these strikes also creates a psychological advantage, causing Russian forces to feel hunted and unable to find safety. The continuous drone strikes not only force Russian forces to abandon their defensive positions, but also create opportunities for follow-up attacks. When Russian forces are disoriented by the destruction of ammunition depots and their exposed positions, Ukrainian forces can take advantage of these weaknesses, exploiting the chaos caused by earlier attacks. The persistent pressure from drones makes it difficult for Russian forces to recover or organize an effective counterattack. Additionally, reconnaissance drones provide vital intelligence, helping Ukrainian forces identify weaknesses in Russian defenses. With this real-time data, they can apply further pressure where Russian defenses are most vulnerable, ensuring a consistent degradation of Russian military strength. This ongoing disruption forces Russia to shift resources away from offensive operations and focus on defense, further weakening their strategic position. With Russian forces stretched thin, Ukraine can seize the opportunity to press forward, gaining the upper hand in various regions. The use of FPV and kamikaze drones has had a profound impact on modern warfare, particularly in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. These drones allow Ukrainian forces to target key Russian military vehicles, such as armored personnel carriers and logistical transport vehicles, with remarkable precision. The destruction or disabling of these vehicles severely hampers Russia's ability to move troops and supplies quickly, which is essential for maintaining their military operations across the front lines. Even when soldiers manage to escape the vehicles before they are hit, the loss of these vehicles still causes significant operational setbacks. The destruction of vital transport and logistics vehicles makes it much harder for Russian forces to continue their operations and reinforce their positions. The vulnerability of these vehicles to precision drone strikes has forced Russia to reconsider its heavy reliance on traditional armored vehicles, which were once considered invincible. This shift forces Russia to adapt its tactics, facing a new kind of threat they hadn't anticipated. Drone warfare has shown its ability to effectively neutralize even the heaviest military equipment, including Russia's T-80 tanks. Traditionally, tanks like the T-80 were seen as nearly indestructible due to their thick armor and heavy weaponry. However, the precision and effectiveness of FPV drones have shown that even the most advanced and heavily armored vehicles are vulnerable. In one example, a drone struck the engine compartment of a T-80 tank, disabling it completely. A second strike finished the tank off, leaving it completely immobilized. This development represents a fundamental shift in the battlefield dynamics. Tanks, once regarded as symbols of military might, are no longer impervious to attack. The increasing success of drone strikes on armored vehicles forces military strategists to rethink the importance of tanks in modern warfare. With drones offering a cost-effective and highly precise method to neutralize these expensive assets, military leaders must now consider how to protect their tanks and armored vehicles from this growing threat. In addition to destroying military vehicles, drone strikes severely disrupt Russian logistics and operational flexibility. These vehicles play a crucial role in moving supplies, ammunition, and troops to critical locations. By targeting and destroying them, Ukrainian drones create significant logistical challenges for Russian forces, leaving them unable to move their essential resources efficiently. This logistical breakdown hampers Russia's ability to sustain its operations and respond swiftly to Ukrainian attacks. Without their armored transport vehicles, Russian forces are forced to rely on less secure and slower methods of transportation. This increases their vulnerability to further drone strikes and delays their ability to reinforce key positions. The disruption of supply lines not only affects their ability to resupply, but also weakens their overall defense capabilities. The loss of these key military vehicles forces Russia to shift more focus on defense, reducing their capacity to launch effective counterattacks. As Ukrainian forces continue to apply pressure, This logistical vulnerability compounds Russia's struggles to maintain a coordinated defense. In the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, FPV, first-person view, drones have played a key role in shifting the battlefield dynamics. Ukraine has effectively used these drones to attack critical Russian military installations, including radar stations and control centers, which are vital for Russia's air defense and coordination operations. The precision of FPV drones allows them to target key assets with minimal collateral damage, making them highly effective in disabling Russia's military capabilities. By disrupting Russian radar facilities and control stations, Ukraine has been able to weaken Russia's air defense systems and prevent them from efficiently responding to new threats. These attacks significantly hinder Russia's ability to monitor Ukrainian movements and coordinate defense efforts. As a result, Ukraine has gained a strategic advantage in terms of air superiority, enabling them to carry out further offensive operations with greater ease and fewer interruptions from Russian defenses. This capability forces Russia to reconsider its reliance on traditional, static defense systems, adapting to the rapid pace of drone warfare. A major breakthrough in Ukraine's use of drones has been the incorporation of fiber optic technology in FPV drones. Unlike traditional drones that rely on radio frequencies vulnerable to jamming, fiber optic drones use a physical cable to transmit signals, making them resistant to electronic warfare. This technology enables Ukraine to bypass Russia's UAV defenses, which are designed to intercept and jam traditional drone communications. The use of fiber optic FPV drones allows Ukraine to target critical infrastructure even when Russian defenses have been upgraded to counteract drone attacks. These drones provide Ukraine with the ability to carry out long-range, precision strikes with greater reliability. The resistance to jamming means that these drones are far more difficult to neutralize, even in heavily defended areas, giving Ukraine a strategic advantage in the conflict. Moreover, the low cost of operating fiber optic drones means they can be used in large numbers, further overwhelming Russian defenses and making it difficult for them to predict or counter each strike. The successful use of FPV drones by Ukraine to attack Russian military installations goes beyond merely causing destruction. By targeting and disabling Russia's radar and control systems, Ukraine has effectively disrupted the operational capabilities of Russian forces. These drone strikes reduce Russia's ability to respond quickly to new developments on the battlefield, which is crucial in modern warfare. By incapacitating key installations, Ukraine has forced Russian forces into a defensive posture, significantly reducing their ability to adapt to changing battlefield conditions. This strategic disruption has been pivotal in Ukraine's ability to gain the upper hand in various engagements. The ability to strike vital systems without direct confrontation highlights the growing importance of drone technology in modern warfare, showing how nations can leverage advanced technology to overcome more powerful military adversaries. As Russia faces the continued effectiveness of Ukraine's drone strategy, it will likely be forced to adapt its own tactics and defenses, knowing that drone warfare will only continue to evolve and expand. The conflict between Ukraine and Russia has seen major disruptions to Russia's logistical capabilities, particularly along vital supply routes, often referred to as the roads of death. These roads are crucial for transporting military supplies, including troops, ammunition, and equipment necessary to sustain operations. However, Ukraine has used FPV drones and artillery to target these routes consistently, making it increasingly difficult for Russian forces to maintain the flow of resources and personnel to the front lines. These targeted attacks on Russia's military convoys have had a significant impact on Russia's ability to carry out sustained military operations. Even when soldiers can escape vehicles before drone strikes, the loss of key military vehicles still causes substantial disruption to Russian logistics. Armored personnel carriers, tanks, and logistical vehicles, essential for moving supplies and reinforcements, are destroyed in these attacks, severely crippling Russia's capacity to continue operations efficiently. As these vehicles are often the backbone of military supply lines, their destruction weakens Russia's ability to move forces and materials across critical areas, leaving their front lines exposed. The consistent targeting of these roads has made them increasingly dangerous, further complicating Russian logistical planning. These attacks have forced Russia to consider alternate, less secure routes that are easier for Ukrainian forces to target. The destruction of military vehicles along the roads of death does not just impact immediate supply needs, but creates long-term strategic challenges for Russian forces. The ongoing loss of these critical supply routes means that Russia is unable to maintain a steady flow of reinforcements and ammunition to support its troops. This logistical failure forces Russia to shift its strategy, often resulting in slower responses to Ukrainian advances and a weakened ability to defend key positions. Moreover, the consistent attacks on these supply lines reduce Russia's capacity for sustained military campaigns. The inability to quickly resupply forces, transport reinforcements, or access key materials like fuel and ammunition limits their operational flexibility. Russian forces, unable to keep up with the pace of conflict, are increasingly forced into a defensive posture. This degradation of Russia's logistical capabilities weakens its overall combat effectiveness and creates a situation where they struggle to sustain their military strength over time, further emboldening Ukraine's strategic position. The disruption of these supply lines contributes to Russia's diminishing ability to maintain dominance on the battlefield, which only intensifies the ongoing pressure on their military forces. As Russia faces the increasing vulnerability of these routes, it becomes more difficult for them to sustain prolonged military engagements. FPV, first-person view, and kamikaze drones have revolutionized modern warfare, particularly in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. These drones provide precision strikes with minimal risk to human life, allowing armies to target critical infrastructure and military assets effectively. Drones have not only enhanced strike capabilities but also provide real-time intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, crucial for modern military operations. Ukraine has successfully integrated drones with infantry and artillery to create a flexible and highly effective combat strategy. This combination allows Ukrainian forces to advance while minimizing risks and optimizing their response to battlefield changes. As drones continue to evolve, future conflicts will increasingly depend on these unmanned systems to gain strategic advantages. Their speed, cost efficiency, and improved precision will make them even more valuable in warfare. The future of military strategy will likely hinge on the ability to use drones to outmaneuver and challenge more traditional, larger forces. If you want to stay informed about global military developments, the impact of warfare, and the pursuit of peace, make sure to subscribe to Military Force. Join our community as we dive deeper into the complexities of conflict, the importance of diplomacy, and how we can all contribute to a more peaceful world. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Together, we can learn, share, and work towards a better future.